G'day legends, on today's build episode, Dirty Max is getting some rock lights fitted. That's right, so the legends at ALTIQ have sent across their Rock Pro RGB+W rock lights. We're going to be fitting them up to max and checking out what they're like on the track, give you a bit of a review. But first, let's get into the unboxing. All right, so let's dig in. So I've had a bit of a cheeky look already. They are quite tightly packed, but let's get into it. First of all, instructions. There's not a lot here because it's a full plug and play wiring harness and single bolt mounting, super easy to get set up. Digging in further, we've got 8 rock lights in this kit. They do come as a 6 rock light kit as well if you want to save a bit of money, but we've gone the 8 light kit to get as much coverage underneath max as we can. All right, so I've got a bit of a mess here. We've got the rock lights in front of me. So we've got a couple with a 3.5 meter harness. We've got a couple with a 5 meter harness. So gives you a bit of flexibility where you're mounting your controller and where you mount your lights in the car as well. But most importantly, before we go any further, we need to do peel. So you'll see there are 12 LEDs inside. So you get 3 red, 3 green, and 3 blue, plus 3 white LEDs, which gives this a bit of a bump over a standard RGB rock light. If you've ever used any other rock lights, just standard RGB, you'll know that when you try and get white, it looks like a teal or a real baby blue. That's why they've added 3 of these white lights, and altogether with this kit equals 40 watts of white light output. Bloody awesome. Cool, so let's move on to what else is left in this box. Now we've got these rubber angled 30-degree mounting brackets, and ALTIQ's made a really cool design choice where they've got a single bolt mounting design. So instead of classic rock lights where you'd have a couple of screw holes you have to line up, it's a bit awkward sometimes, and you got to make your own custom bracketry, whatnot. These, it's just one bolt. So they've got these really cool angle brackets, which have got the single bolt through still. You can either use tech screws just to drive them straight into your mud guards, or they've got bolts included as well, and you can always just customize it to suit. With the mounting, you do have the option to have the cable coming out the back, or you can have it flush mount, so you can mount it right up against the flat surface. And that design principle continues to these rubber mounts where you can run the cable down through the bottom, or you can pull them out the side for easy wiring. Moving on, we've got the hardware kit, which has got threaded bolts. We've got the washers, spring washers, and nuts as well. And then lastly, before we ditch that lovely box, we've got the wiring kit. Now, it's all pre-wired, so it's fused. You've got the switch, ring terminals on the end, so you hook it up to your battery, cable tie it somewhere nice out the way, or spend the time and actually mount it securely. Then you've got these screw together connectors, making it super, super simple to set up. So that's everything inside the box. Now let's pull max inside and start fitting these rock lights. Damn, that just fits. All right, we're gonna start with the rear end because that's gonna dictate where we mount our control module because of the length of the cable. Let's get stuck in. Now, the back of the D-Max, we've got this MRT canopy fitted. And part of the conversion is removing the factory bumper, which houses these sonar sensors. So this is your lane detectors and your blind spot. Now, on the bracket, there's a couple of holes because they are adjustable so you can get the setting right. But we can pick up off one of these holes to make fitting our rock lights super easy, so we're not drilling any holes, mounting any brackets, nice and easy. Now, with the ALTIQ lights, I've got my 5 meter cable here. But they've got this really simple system where you can remove the plastic covers. Now these are changeable, you can fit, they've got a bunch of different colors you can get because they also sell these non-RGB. So you can add like an amber or a blue cover to make your light change color. But they've got this simple single bolt mounting system. So you got a hole in the middle here, and they've provided these in the hardware kit. So you fit your bolt through the middle, and then when you're ready to mount it up properly, there's a rubber grommet. Mounts up just there to keep it watertight. So when you've got it mounted, there's no water coming in from the back. But for now, we'll leave that off. So then to mount this on, run the bolt through the bracket and feed the cable in the gap there. So then it's nicely routed, so it's out the way. We can bolt it all up. And then that'll go up there like that. So now we're going to run the cable so we can get it to mate up to this control box. Now it is waterproof and there are mounting holes on this, so you can mount it underneath if you need to. I'm hoping we can get it in the engine bay, but I've just done a dry run and I don't think the cable's going to reach. So just see how much cable length we've got. It's a real simple system. You've just got a fused positive and then a negative with a ring terminal on the end, and then a switch which you run inside to your dash. Now, they do recommend using the switch to kill the system when you're not using it, but when the switch is on, you can control the system with the Bluetooth app to turn it on and off. And they claim a 30-meter range on that. We're going to check that out later as well. So just having a look, that gives plenty of length to get it up to the battery if we mount this underneath. And then we'll have enough room here for all the cables to meet up. Now, while we're here, we are going to insulate the cable in the high friction spots with this split conduit. Now, the cable obviously is insulated and it's designed to be mounted underneath the car. It's all waterproof, all that stuff. But there are a few spots where I'd like to have this conduit just for a bit of peace of mind. And then we're going to run the cable relief along the whole way using cable ties. But this is just a bit of extra insurance to make sure our cable is going to last. Now, lastly, off camera, I did bend up a couple of brackets. These are just going to allow me to mount to the rock sliders for the 4 lights in the middle. And I've got 2 brackets for up the front as well. But when I fit the AFM bar, that might be changing. I might be relocating where these are mounted. But for now, I found a nice little spot and I'll show you in a sec. Now, remember, always cut your cable ties. There's nothing worse than crawling underneath the car and just seeing all these tags hanging out. Just chop them off, looks so much neater. And you won't poke yourself in the future. All right, so now we've got the 2 rear ones mounted and the cable will run to here. We're going to spin max around and we'll keep running the cable and work out where we can mount that control box. So, run the cabling almost as far as we need it to go. These are both of the rear rock lights. I'm thinking I'm going to pull this bash plate off so I can run the cabling inside here so it's nice and secure and it runs where the factory wiring is going. And I might have to mount the control box actually to this bash plate because we're pretty much out of cable length, and that'll actually put us pretty much below the battery anyway. So we'll pull that bash plate off, see what kind of room we've got. It looks like there's plenty from underneath. And then in a future episode, we'll be pulling these plastic bash plates off anyway, or bash plates, but plastic cowlings. And I've got some aluminium bash plates to fit up. So that'll be a cool episode as well. All right, let's keep going. Now, I did learn from our rock slider video and spent a couple of hours washing the underside of Max yesterday. So there's a lot less loose dust. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than the rock slider video. So, if you're gonna D-Max, it's pretty straightforward. Got 2 nuts, 2 bolts, and then you've got 2 bolts at the front, which you can undo slightly, and then you slide the whole assembly forward, and then you'll come down. Piece of cake. Very easy. Now I'm going to continue getting shit in my eye. Oh. Oh no. Come on, there's one. So, there we go. So, I'll slide that forward from there. Now we've got heaps of room. Thinking mounting the control module here, so that way the cabling's nice tucked up out the way, plus the battery is just up there, so we're very close. Nice and easy. Cool. So I'm going to dry fit that plate back up again and mark whereabouts I want the control module to actually sit, so it's not touching anything. Then I'll drill some holes, mount it up, and I'll show you how I go with that. So, going to mount the control box about here. So I'm going to shave off this little hump, then drill some holes and mount the control box. And just like that, mounted nice and easily. Let's get all the cables run and finish putting this together. Sorry for the shitty angle, but I don't have a hoist yet. So now we come to the rock sliders. So there's two on either side we're going to be mounting. One for the rear tire and one for the front. And I've got these right angle brackets which I bent up and drilled the holes. So I'll bring it here. So I'm going to mount these brackets on the inside of the rock slider. I'm going to use a RivNut into the slider, and then the actual rock light will mount on the top here. And then we just route the wiring over the top of the chassis rail, and then it will join in with the rest of the wiring, run up towards the front, and meet up with the control box. All right, now the holes are drilled. You can use a RivNut tool, which is, if you haven't seen it before, it's basically like a hot rivet tool, but you put this thread down the middle, then you can screw on your nut sets, RivNuts, whatever you want to call it. It's basically like a pot rivet, but it's got threaded hole in the center, and it's got knurling on the edge of it, so it grips the metal. But you screw that on, put in the hole, squeeze it tight, unthread it, and there you go, you've got thread in your hole. So we're gonna paint protect it first, just with a paint pen, then we'll fit this up and then we'll have a nice thread for our bolts to mount the brackets. All right, so we've got a few bits and pieces of hardware here. Got my light, got on the 3.5 meter cable this time because it's a much shorter distance. Now I get it bolted up to these brackets so we can fit it onto the rock slider. Waterproofing plug. And then ready for the cover to go back on. Simple, let's go throw it on. So, lucky last, we've got the front lights, and on the D-Max, I'm going to mount it to the chassis up here. There's some existing holes, which we can use some M8 bolts to mount to. So, come have a look and I'll show you. Just here, this hole here, you can just see, a little bit dark. Yeah, that hole there I'm going to use.
and I've got the bracket already made up. So it'll sit here, nice and tucked away, but still in a good position to shine a fair bit of light. And once the AFN bar is fitted, that might change location, but for now it's perfect. Ooh. Easy. So, super easy, nice little tucked away spot, fairly well protected. So just gotta put the split conduit on the cable, route it, and then we are ready to connect them all to the control unit and hook it up to the battery. All right, all that's left to do now is take our plugs and then twist them so they line up and then screw them together. Then we'll thread the cable up for the power and the switch, and then we're done. Whew, almost there. All right, now the moment you've all been waiting for. Pack up, head out and go test these rock lights. Before we move on, I just want to jump in quickly and say thank you to ALTIQ very much for making this video possible. They supplied the rock light kit for free and have brought us on board as their newest ambassadors, and we are absolutely stoked. Now let's check out the app. So this is the app you get. It's called Happy Lighting, and it's just your generic app. They all use them, but neither here nor there, it works. So top left, you've got your devices which you can connect to, and it'll show you when you've disconnected with your device if you're too far away, and you can click on it to reconnect. Straightforward, easy as. Then you've got basic controls. You can choose all your different colors, or you can cycle through the wheel, find the one that you like. And then down here, the light bulb, that is your white. That is 40 watts of true white light with these rock lights. That's the 8-light kit, that is. Then your full RGB, happy days, cool. Then you've got music. So you can find a song you like, play your music, and it will change. Whoop. Just turn that down. But it's playing in time with the music, pretty straightforward. Then you got microphone. You can adjust the sensitivity. So you can talk into the microphone and it will change lights on what it hears. And it'll hear the bikes too. Then you've got styles, which are a bunch of presets with color variations and flashing, timing, and whatnot. So you've got rainbow pulsing, you can set the speed so I can just display cycles through the colors, pretty straightforward. And red pulsing, green pulsing, blah, blah, blah. Now, some of the ones that people might be more interested in, especially this time of year being Christmas, we've got red and green pulsing. Straightforward. Red, blue. So if you like to pretend that you're working for the police force, there you go. Green, blue, rainbow flashing, red flashing, green flashing, and so on. Bunch of styles, pretty straightforward. Then if you've got multiple Rocklight kits, you can link them together, and there are a bunch of features so you can set them up, pulsing timing and whatnot. So you can have them going off at different times, different cycles. But we're not doing that, we just got the one light kit for now. And yeah, back to your standard light. So I'm just testing the range on this. It's not 30 meters. ALTIQ claim it's 30 meters range, but I keep getting it cutting out about 10, 15 meters. So just playing around, trying to get it to reconnect so I can try again. All right, reconnected, cool. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meters. Still works. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 meters. Come on, ALTIQ, what's the go? Now, it's mounted underneath. There's a big chunk of steel blocking the way, but even if you mount it in the engine bay, you're still gonna have a big chunk of steel blocking it. So, I don't know, I'm sure in a perfect world it's 30 meters, but in the real world, 5 to 10. Still wicked rock lights though. So we've been out on the track testing out the ALTIQ Spectrum Pro rock lights, and I gotta say, I'm pretty damn impressed. So we're gonna go over the things that I like, the things that I don't like, and maybe a few pointers for fitting them at home. First of all, it's got a 10-year warranty, which is bloody insane in this day and age. So that's awesome to know that you're backed by an actual decent warranty. Then there's the app. The app just works. It's simple to set up. You download it from the App Store if you've got iPhone or if you've got Android, and it just works. Then there's the install of the actual wiring harness. It's all screw together, plug and play, and it goes together really quickly and really easily. Then there's the lights themselves. They are super bright, and having that actual white light makes a big difference as well. The white light from RGB lights is more of a teal color, whereas this is true white, and you get 40 watts in the 8 light kit total. Then there's the cable length. There is heaps of cables, so no matter how big your four-wheel drive is, you'll be able to set it up no problem. Then there's the 1-bolt system, which makes mounting these lights super simple. We only got to take advantage of the 1-bolt mounting in the rear of Max, but it was awesome how easy it was. Single bolt through the rubber 30-degree bracket, and we were done. Now we'll go over some of the things that aren't so great. So while cable length is awesome to have, sometimes it's just too much. There was so much leftover cable that we just had to bundle up, and it's just this big nest, which I've got half in mind to cut it all shorter and re-solder it so that there's not so much loose. It might be a cool idea if ALTIQ actually brought out a more modular cabling solution where you had a set length of say 2 meters on each light, and then you've got extensions which you can screw together, which obviously anyone who knows electronics, adding extensions, those connectors isn't ideal. But when it's such a low amperage solution, it might not be a problem, maybe something to look into. Then there's the app itself, which, yes, it's super easy to use. You've got your microphone, you've got all these presets, you can set your colors, you've got full RGB, and it does just work, but it's the same bog stock app that all the other cheap rock lights are using, so it makes it feel a bit cheap when the rest of the kit is so premium. Leading on from the short wiring from the screw together harness, the wiring for the switch was definitely way too short. Max might be a bit of a special case because we had to mount the control unit underneath Max, and if we did have it mounted in the engine bay, it might have been fine, but it was just way too short. There was no chance we could run it through the firewall. I'm going to have to extend that wiring later on and hook that up to a switch in the dash, but for now it's just hidden away in the engine bay. So that is something that might be improved as well. So one little tip when fitting up the rock lights, while the 1-bolt system is fantastic, if you have to use brackets like we did and you don't want to drill into your chassis or your rock sliders or whatever it might be, because not everyone likes drilling into their cars, something that I can take from working on earth moving equipment is magnets are your best friends. You could use magnets to actually mount your lights. So you got the L bracket and then you bolt the magnet to that, or you could potentially bolt straight from the rock light to a magnet and mount it up. As long as you get a high quality magnet and rubber backed, you'll be fine. It'll stick on and it won't move. So that's been our video on the ALTIQ Spectrum Pro RGB+W rock lights. I hope you enjoyed crawling around on the floor with me as we installed them, and I hope you find this review entertaining and informative. If you've got any questions on them, shoot us a message. We're active on Instagram and on YouTube. And if you want to grab a set of these ALTIQ rock lights a bit cheaper, use the code IPD10 at checkout to save 10%. Cheers, legends. Keep playing dirty.